This must be adjustments to land valuation.
Mhm.
No two parcels of land are exactly alike. They might be identical in size and physical characteristics, but each parcel has a unique location and is likely to differ from other parcels in some way. Typical differences requiring adjustments are time of sale, location, and physical characteristics. Adjustments also may need to be made for atypical financing. Other differences may become apparent with the study of the physical, environmental, economic, governmental, and social factors affecting the sale property and the subject property. The adjustment process is an analysis designed to show what the comparable property would have sold for if these differences were eliminated. The sale price of the comparable property is adjusted to account for as many of its differences from the subject property as possible. In adjusting the sale price of the comparable properties, the appraiser customarily employs lump sum dollar amounts or percentages. Adjustments are always applied to the sale price of the comparable property, not to the subject property. If the sold property is inferior in some respect to the subject property, the sale price is increased by a dollar amount or a percentage. If the sold property is superior in some respect, the sale price is decreased. Applying the adjustments to the sale price of the comparable property provides a value indication for the subject property. Adjustment techniques. Adjustments may be made to sales prices in one of three ways. 1. Adding and subtracting dollars. 2. Adding and subtracting cumulative percentages. And 3. Multiplying percentages. In single property appraisal, adding and subtracting dollars or adding and subtracting cumulative percentages is the typical approach. The sequence in which the adjustments are made should be considered. If the comparable sales are adjusted using lump sum dollar amounts, the order in which the adjustments are made does not affect the adjusted sale price. However, if percentage adjustments are used, the order of the adjustments becomes critical, because the percentage amount is a percentage of the sale price. Thus, the appraiser must make the adjustments in the following sequence.
For percentage adjustments only. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Atypical financing, market conditions, time of sale, location and physical characteristics, and that's the end of that list. Financing. Sales having atypical financing arrangements must be adjusted first. For example, a sale with seller financing at an interest rate above or below the market rate of interest would need to be adjusted. In this situation, the appraiser must determine the difference in payments required at the market rate of interest versus the actual rate of interest. In payments required at the market rate of interest, I got off. I lost my place, sorry. Hang on.
You can start over if you want.
On finance?
Yeah, financing. And these are those three adjustments. They just gave that little short list. They're expanding those adjustments.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I realize that.
Well, yeah, but you could read it that way too if you want.
Financing. Sales having atypical financing arrangements must be adjusted first. For example, a sale with seller financing at an interest rate above or below the market rate of interest would need to be adjusted. In this situation, the appraiser must determine the difference in payments required at the market rate of interest versus the actual rate of interest. This difference is discounted to its present value. If the actual rate of interest is less than the market rate, the amount of this discounted present value is added to the sale price. If the actual rate of interest exceeds the market rate, the amount of this discounted present value is subtracted from the sale price. Other conditions might require an adjustment Other conditions that might require an adjustment are assumed mortgages, points paid by the seller, and the assumption of an existing lease. A detailed explanation of cash equivalency adjustments, including examples, are found in the IAAO Workshop 452, Fundamentals of Assessment Ratio Studies. Changing market conditions over time. When market value increases or decreases over time, an adjustment to sale price of the comparable property is required. The adjustment is applied to the sale price of the comparable property after any adjustment required for atypical financing has been applied. If financing is typical, then the first adjustment in the sequence of adjustments is the market adjustment for time of sale. The amount of adjustment can be determined by using resales or paired sales. A resale is a parcel that is sold in the past and then sold again. Paired sales are two parcels that are very similar to each other but sold at different points in time. The mechanics of determining the amount of adjustment are the same for resales or paired sales. The appraiser must determine the amount of difference in sale price between the two sales and then divide the difference by the earliest sale. The result is the overall percentage change in value over time. To determine the amount of change per year or per month, divide the overall percentage change by the number of years or the number of months between the two sales. I'm going to highlight this for you.
Why?
Because it's a formula.
Oh, it's a formula.
That's what you asked me to do.
I forgot. Okay.
The result is the overall percentage change in value over time. To determine the amount of change per year per month, divide the overall percentage change by the number of years or the number of months between the two sales. An example of determining the amount of change in market conditions over time is illustrated in Table 7.6. The physical characteristics of the sale used in Table 7.6 did not change during the time between sales.
Okay.
Market adjustment over time using resale. Current sale, $62,000. Sale 24 months ago, $50,000. You subtract the $50,000 from the $62,000, giving an increase over the 24-month period of $12,000.
So the market was appreciating.
Yes. So the increase is equal to $12,000 divided by the $50,000,
the previous sale price,
which is equal to 0.24 or 24%. So the increase per month is the 0.24 divided by the 24 months, which is equal to 0.01 or 1% per month. The increase per year is the 0.24 divided by 2 years, which is equal to 0.12 or 12% per year. Location and physical characteristics. Determining the amount of an adjustment for location or differences in physical characteristics can be obtained by using paired sales or multiple regression analysis, MRA, to determine the contributory sale of these items. An example of using paired sales is shown in Table 7.7. The two lots are similar in all aspects except for the component being measured. The two sales in Table 7.7 are both current sales. If one of the sales occurred earlier, it may be necessary to first adjust it for market conditions. Once the amount of the adjustment has been determined, it can be applied in the adjustment grid for comparable properties. Adjustment for physical characteristics using paired sales. Lot number 1, current sale on a paved street, $80,000. Lot number 2, current sale on a gravel street, $73,400. That is obviously subtracted. The 73,400 is subtracted from the 80,000, leaving the adjustment for paved street location $6,600.
Yeah. So what this is telling you is, paved street, a current sale on a paved street is worth more than a current sale on a gravel street, and the street type is the difference between the two sales. So you have to make an adjustment one way or the other for the street type.
Okay.
They may be the exact same house, just on two different types of street, and that's going to be the difference.
Okay. The sequence is important, and adjustments should be accomplished in the following order. Number 1, financing. Number 2, market conditions. And number 3, location and other physical characteristics.
I'll tell you what's awesome about this. That market stuff I've been working on, them graphs, trying to figure out, not the graphs, the two, what are these things?
Grids?
Grids, the charts. That's exactly what I'm doing on these, except that one I still don't understand yet. But that's what we're doing.
Okay. The sequence is important, and adjustments should be accomplished in the following order. Number 1, financing. Number 2, market conditions. And number 3, location and other physical characteristics. The example in Table 7.8 is a residential lot, 100 by 125 feet, which sold 5 years ago for $40,000. The lot has a typical view, and the street has asphalt pavement with curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Financing for this lot was considered typical. However, analysis of paired sales show the market for this type of land has increased 10% during the past 5 years. Since it is similar to the lot close to the lot being appraised, the sale may be considered a comparable sale. The subject lot is the same size but has a more desirable view. Paired sales indicated that $2,200 was an appropriate adjustment for view. Using the adjustment found in Table 7.7, a location on a paved street adds $6,600 to the value of a lot compared to a similar lot on a gravel street. The subject is located on a gravel street with no curb, gutter, or sidewalk. Table 7.8 shows the application of lump sum dollar adjustment to this comparable sale. After sales are selected and appropriate adjustments are made for differences, several value indications for the subject lot result. The greatest weight is usually given to the sale that requires the least adjustment. Table 7.8. Applying lump sum dollar adjustments to a comparable sale. The sale price is $40,000. Changing market conditions 10%. Adjusted sale price $44,000. Street type minus $6,600. A view plus $2,200. Indicated value of subject $39,600.
Okay, so here's the deal with this one. I'm guessing this sale is not on a gravel road. I mean, not on a paved road, because they took that off. It doesn't say, does it?
Well,
they don't say what kind of...
It does. The subject is located on a gravel street with no curb, gutter, or sidewalk.
So that, I was right. I get it. I understand it.
Using the adjustment found in Table 7.7, a location on a paved street adds $6,000 to the value of a lot compared to a similar lot on a gravel street.
Yeah.
Okay. Next section. Well, continuing. When percentages are used, it is possible to add, subtract, or multiply. A slightly different value indication results when percentages are multiplied. But the difference is usually not enough to substantially affect the value. This discussion illustrates the use of cumulative percentage adjustments, which are typically used in single property appraisal. For example, using the same values found in Table 7.8 but reducing them to percentages provides the results shown in Table 7.9. The technique for making this adjustment is expanded in Chapter 8, the Sales Comparison Approach to Value. Table 7-9, Percentage Adjustments. Sale price, $40,000. Changing market conditions, plus 10%. Adjusted sale price, $44,000. Street type, minus 15%. View, plus 5%. Composite factor, minus 10%. Indicated value of subject, $39,600. Reconciliation of value indicators for comparable sales. In estimating the value of the subject site, each important difference between the subject property and the comparable sales is considered. To provide an indication of value for the subject site, the appraiser places the greatest emphasis on the value indicators from the properties that require the fewest adjustments. Adjustments to three comparable sales are illustrated in Table 710. Although each of these sold properties is similar to the subject, none is exactly the same. Therefore, the adjustments are required, and in reconciling the value indicators from each of the comparables, the appraiser must consider the type and amount of adjustment each comparable requires. In this example, properties have been increasing in value at a rate of 6% per year. Sale 3 had an atypical financing adjustment downward. Area 4 is considered 5% better than Area 5, and Area 2 is considered 10% poorer than Area 5. In addition, lot size for Sale 3 requires a 15% adjustment. Amenities for Sale 1 and Sale 2 are 5% poorer than the subject. The appraiser must analyze all of these adjustments and then select a value estimate for the subject based on the indicators from the comparable sales, considering the type and amount of adjustments required. Table 710, Illustration of Adjustments to Comparable Sales.
You can just read the text down below it.
So do you want me to read the table or no?
No, just read the text down below it.
In this example, Sale 1 is an older sale requiring an adjustment but is in the same location as the subject. Sale 2 is a current sale but must be adjusted for location. All other attributes are similar between the two comparables, and this would indicate about equal comparability for both Sales 1 and 2 with the subject. This provides good support for the value conclusion of $50,000. Formulas, tables, and rules. Formulas, tables, and rules have been developed by analysis of market data to help with the changes in parcel size, shape, and location. Tables include depth tables, irregular lot valuation tables, and corner influence tables. Note that these formulas, tables, and rules are only guides and must be supported by evidence from the local market. Depth tables. Depth tables help measure changes in value caused by variation in lot depths where land is typically purchased on a front foot basis. They are based on the observation that the front section of a lot is more valuable on a unit basis than the rear portion. As depth increases, the unit value decreases. The least complex basis for computing depth tables is the 4-3-2-1 rule. This rule states that the first 25% of depth of lot represents 40% of the total lot value. The second 25% of depth represents 30% of the value. The third 25% of depth represents 20% of the value. And the fourth 25% of depth represents 10% of the value. Figure 7.6 illustrates the value of a 50-foot by 100-foot deep lot having a front foot value of $1,200. Figure 7-6, the 4-3-2-1 rule. 10% of value, 25%, $6,000. 20% of value, 25%, $12,000. 30% of value, 25%, $18,000. 40% of value, 25%, $24,000.
They made that chart upside down. Because it's a 4-3-2-1 rule, they should have done the 40% value at the top of the chart.
Agreed.
Otherwise, it'd be the 1, 2, 3, 4 rule.
Agreed.
Because that 40% is the front part of the lot.
Maybe they got sleepy.
Maybe.
The estimated lot value is $60,000, 50 feet by $1,200 per front foot. The 4-3-2-1 rule assumes that the first 25 feet of depth are worth 40% or $24,000. The second 25 feet are worth 30% or $18,000. The third 25 feet are worth 20% or $12,000, and the fourth 25 feet are worth 10% or $6,000. Table 711 is a sample depth table based on standard depth of 100 feet. By using this depth table, the value of the lot 75 by 125 feet can be computed. Assume that the front foot value for lots with standard depth of 100 feet is $800. According to the table, the depth factor for a lot 125 feet deep is 108% or 108. Therefore, the lot value is $64,800. 75 front feet times $1,800 per front foot times 1.08 depth factor. Please see the chart.
Yeah, Dad, you don't have to read that one.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's too long.
Irregular lot valuation tables. The utility of a lot can be seriously affected by its shape. Also, the size or shape of a proposed building can be affected by setback requirements. The purpose of irregular lot valuation tables is to convert the actual frontage of irregularity-shaped parcels to effective front footage. The 65-35 rule is based on the premise that a lot of shaped like a The 65-35 rule is based on the premise that a lot shaped like a right-angled triangle with its base on the street has a 65% of the value of a rectangular lot, and a lot shaped like a
right-angle triangle. I don't know why they said it like that, a right triangle, isn't it?
Well, and that a lot shaped like a right-angled triangle with its apex on the street has a 35% of the value of a rectangular lot. Figure 7-7 illustrates the 65-35 rule. In this figure, the effective front footage of Lot A is 65 feet. 100 feet actual frontage times 65%. And that of Lot B is 35%. 100 feet actual footage times 35%.
100 feet actual frontage.
What did I say? Yes.
Footage.
Yeah. 100 feet of actual frontage times 35%. Oh, that was really hard for me to get through. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Corner influence tables. Corner influence tables are constructed on the premise that the greatest value is at the corner of two streets, and that value decreases with the distance from the corner. These tables consist of percentages that show an increase in value at corners and assume that a corner location affords more prominence, light, and air, and makes the site more accessible to pedestrian traffic. Corner influence tables do not necessarily apply to residential lots, but an analysis of sales may indicate that, in some communities, buyers pay a premium for corner residential sites. As is the case with all formulas, tables, and rules, they must be localized or extracted from the local market to be useful. Assemblage and plottage. The two terms commonly confused in appraisal terminology are assemblage and plottage. Plottage is the combining of two or more sites under a single ownership in order to develop one site having greater utility and unit value in the aggregate than when each is considered separately. Assemblage, on the other hand, is simply the merging of two adjacent properties into one common ownership or use. In general, when the new site has a greater utility than the sum of the old sites, the new site has increased in value. This value increment is known as the plottage value.
I bet that's going to be on the test.
Occasionally, let me highlight this. When the new site has a greater utility than the sum of the old sites, the new site has increased value, and that value increment is known as plottage value. Occasionally, the combination of sites results in the creation of a new site with less utility, which normally results in a lower value. This value decrease is known as negative plottage. Mass appraisal methods of land valuation. The primary methods of land valuation for mass appraisal are applications of the sales comparison approach. The sales comparison approach is always the preferred approach when sufficient sales data are available. Only when sales data are insufficient would the appraiser resort to an alternative method. This section considers two principal applications of the sales comparison approach to mass appraisal of land: the comparative unit method and the base lot method. Comparative unit method. The comparative unit method requires the appraiser to stratify the jurisdiction first by market or economic area and then by zoning or use types. Once the stratification has been completed, the appraiser must determine the average or typical per unit value for each stratum of land. The preferred method for determining the average or typical value is to calculate the median, and the mean sale price per unit. The median is sometimes preferred because it is less influenced by extremes. Once the median and mean price per unit have been calculated, the coefficient of dispersion, the COD, and coefficient of variation, COV, should be calculated. These measures, along with the number of sales, indicate the reliability of analysis. The median, mean, COD, and COV are discussed further in Chapter 15, Mass Appraisal. If adequate sales are not available, similar strata may be combined. Adding other sales adjusted for changes in market conditions over time or residential land values, sales price less building value, may be used. When comparative unit sales have been established for each stratum, they are refined to the individual parcel level. One method of doing this is to develop unit values within the area, leaving only minor adjustments for individual parcels. It is important when values vary significantly in the market area of a neighborhood, particularly for commercial parcels. The comparative unit method is best for areas where parcels vary in size but are fairly homogeneous in other aspects. However, it is not well suited for areas where the sites are similar in size but vary substantially in site characteristics. Table 712 shows 5 land sales that occurred during the past 3 months. An analysis of market conditions shows there has been no change in value during this time. A sale price per square foot is calculated for each sale. The mean and the median sale prices are calculated as well as the COD and the COV. Because the amount of variation is slight, less than 1%, the indicated unit price of $2.75 per square foot should work well in this area.
Yeah, you can.
I can.
Yeah.
Base lot method. The base lot method requires the appraiser to establish the value of the standard or base parcel in each stratum using a sales comparison analysis, with the base lot serving as the subject parcel. The base lot may be an actual lot or hypothetical standard lot. Once the base lot value is established, it is used as a benchmark to establish value for individual parcels. The base lot method assumes that the site characteristics are generally similar for most of the lots and that the major factors causing variations in site values are such things as location, like proximity to a busy street or a golf course, size, view, and traffic. Adjustments for these factors must be developed by using paired sales analysis or other forms of market research. Then the comparables are adjusted to the base lot. After the comparables are adjusted to the base lot, measures of central tendency are calculated and a base lot value selected. Confidence in the base lot value selected can be gauged by looking at measures of dispersion. If the measures of dispersion are large, the appraiser needs to make a further analysis. If the amount of dispersion is small, the appraiser can be fairly confident in the indicated base lot value. This method requires adequate sales data. Older sales can be added to the sales base as long as they are appropriately adjusted for any variations in market conditions. Table 713 illustrates a base lot method. 7 sales are available as comparables for estimating the values for the base lot. The example assumes that the major factors causing variations in land values in this area are size, view, restricted, standard, or premium, and site amenities, inferior, average, and superior. Appropriate percentage adjustments for these factors have already been developed through market research and are shown in Table 713. Sale prices have already been adjusted for changing market conditions, time of sale, in this illustration. The base lot has a size of 1 acre, average size amenities, and a standard view. The sale price of the first comparable, for example, is adjusted upward because its site amenities are inferior to those of the base lot. The other comparables are also adjusted for any differences, and the adjusted sale price is shown in the last column of the table. The median, mean, and measures of dispersion are then calculated. Because the median and mean are similar to the measures of dispersion are both very small, less than 1%, and it appears that the market value of the base lot is $49,500, this value would then be applied to all lots in this stratum containing 1 acre, average site amenities, and a standard view. The values of lots of different size or with different amenities than the base lot or view would be adjusted using the adjustment amounts derived from the market.
I think that word is stratum.
Stratum?
Stratum.
Okay. That was a terrible noise. Am I reading this chart?
No.
Okay, that's the end of the section.